Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fire Engineering's Humpday Hangouts. This week, a couple of the regulars are out where they're doing some work for fire engineering, so they're on the road. So they left me in charge of the show this week, this month. And so since you leave me in charge of the show, what do? I bring on all my friends. So I would like to welcome to the show today two of my closest friends, Lieutenant Bob McCaa from Frederick County Fire Rescue and firefighter Dusty Clay. Just a little bit about who they are, what they're about, and I'll let them talk about themselves in a little bit. But Lieutenant Bob McCaa, I work with in Frederick County Fire Rescue. Bob's got 14 years of fire experience and 12 years in Frederick County. Bob is the newly training lieutenant with the Frederick County Fire Rescue Training Division. And on the other side there, my buddy Dusty Clay is a Manassas City firefighter. Dusty started as a volunteer with Rockville here at the Rockville Volunteer Fire Department. He was living here with us, and we trained him, and then he decided to leave us and move on to go do different things. But he's assigned to Station 21, where he's assigned to Rescue Engine 21 with 16 years in the fire service and 5 years with Manassas City. So want to welcome you guys to the Fire Engineering Humpday's Hangouts. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
So, all right. So let's get right to it. Usually we get to talking, and once we start chopping it up, we realize we start running out of time. But today we're going to talk about in-service training and in-service fire training and implementing in-service training programs within your department. I thought it'd be pretty cool to get a different variety of different in-service ideas, thoughts, and which is why I decided to do two different kind of departments, Manassas City and Frederick County. So what I wanted to do was, starting with Dusty. Dusty, talk a little bit about Manassas City and talk about how you guys' department is established, how many people within your department, and what you guys do as far as in-service programs for your department.
So we have over 60 people here in Manassas. We staff a rescue engine, battalion chief, truck company, and an engine company, along with 2 medic units. Of course, we have the higher ups at down headquarters. So the one thing we do for in-service training, especially on our shift, is we do a daily thing. So like Mondays would be your tech rescue day. Tuesdays would be your engine company days. Wednesdays is your truck. Thursday goes into pumping or rural water supply. Fridays is your RIT drills. Saturdays is tabletop discussion, and Sundays is rescue company day. And we just change those out throughout the week. The days stay the same, but we just do something different and we build onto it. So maybe on Mondays we go over the basics of T-shores. And the next Monday we work, since we're on a 24/48, you work a Monday every 3 weeks, of course. So we'll hit on that a little bit more, actually put them up, go into a little bit double T's if need be. So we do both in service and out of service. For us, out of service is once a month. All 3 shifts go do whatever the monthly drill is, and it can be whatever and whoever's in charge. So, but in service, we try and do something daily, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. We just try and make it work for us in between calls and daily activities.
So when you guys do your in-service, does everybody meet at one location? Is it just within the company? Does the department organize it amongst the entire department? How is that set up, and how is that arranged?
So it's 2 stations. We try to get together, send an email ahead of time if need be, or we'll call it down the day of. We'll try and meet, whether it's at Station 1 or 21, or we'll go out into the city somewhere, and we'll just work on different things throughout the day. It's difficult sometimes with the amount of calls that we run, just trying to get everyone there. As soon as it never fails, as soon as you get everyone there, somebody's going on a run. So we just try and make it work. We'll try and basically follow up with the people afterwards that missed it, whether they were off, Kelly Day, on calls, whatever. We try and just go back over it with them just to help them out a little bit.
Awesome. And a little more, Dusty, tell us, how long have you guys been doing this? Is this something that's been a tradition? Is this something that's been implemented? Is this something that you guys decided to do amongst yourselves? How did it come to be that you guys are going to combine the two companies to do in-service training amongst the Manassas City Fire Department?
So I got together with a couple buddies of mine, Jess Rozinka, you know him. We got together. We were talking one day. We're just going over different things, and he was talking about different little things here and there, how they did their training at Charlottesville. And I was like, you know what? It'd be nice to have like a daily thing that when you come in on Mondays, this is what you're going to do. So we worked with it a little bit, got it together. It's been going on for about 2-3 months. It's been a little hard here lately with everything going on. The call loads increased a little bit. We've had a lot of other training stuff going on with our monthly drills and people being out on whether it's sick leave, hurt, or just annual leave. So we're trying to keep it going as best we can. It's hard some days, but we try and at least get an hour in. And if we can't get, each station can't get together, Station 1 will do their thing and 21 will do their thing.
Awesome. That's good to hear, man. And I'll tell you right now, just seeing how a department like yours, which is smaller makeup, versus some other bigger cities, still manage to get together and still manage to put on training for your people. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we wanted to touch on today during the Humpday Hangouts was the importance of the in-service and the importance of bringing the people together for the training and the need for it. And while I'm talking about the need for it, I'm going to turn it over to my buddy Bob and let him talk about the need for in-service training. So a lot of people know that I work for Frederick County Fire Rescue, and Bob is one of my coworkers. But I'm going to let him talk about his thought process on the need for in-service training. Our department has seen the need for it over many, many years, and we have now got to a point where we've actually rolled out a actual in-service training program. And I want to let Bob talk about his feat that he has and pretty much accomplished of rolling out in-service training amongst our department and how he did it. So I'm going to turn it over to Bob. Bob?
Thanks, RJ. So I was transferred to field training in May. May 13th was my first day here. And I set a goal for myself after getting transferred to the position that I wanted to roll out a plan for the entire organization within 30 days, just to show that it could be done. To your point about needs, within our organization, we do a really good job at the basic training level with our recruit training. We really have refined the program and developed the program for the recruits during that 28-week training program so that they get the opportunity for multiple hands-on evolutions so that they can acquire and develop those skills that we want them to have when they hit the field. The challenge that we saw is after they reach the field, we as training were not doing a great job of continuing that education. Depending on where they went within our organization, they had some very inconsistent opportunities for training. What I mean to say is Frederick County is 664 square miles, and we're currently staffing almost 30 different locations. So the farthest away we have is locations like Emmitsburg, Maryland, or Point of Rocks, Maryland. You know, Frederick City is kind of centrally located within a very large county. So it would be nothing for the units within Frederick City, for example, the members from Company 3, like you all, to come to the academy. The academy's in your first due. But for somebody from Emmitsburg to come to our fire academy for training, that's a almost 22-mile one-way trip. So what we saw is that individuals that had proximity to training opportunities seized the opportunity to train, and individuals that did not, some found a way, some made one, or they'd seek outside training opportunities. But if you picture the best teams in the world, you know, they don't send their quarterback to go train with another group, you know, going out of state or going to different jurisdictions to acquire training. They might develop some skills externally, but we want our team to train with the members of the team. So I tried to identify some of the barriers that may have prevented those things from happening in the past. You know, when I assumed the position, I started asking myself, why haven't we been able to do this up until now? And I started with the problems, developed solutions before I moved into my program. After I asked the battalion chief of training several questions as to what he wanted to see with the program, I told him I'd have a plan to him in 5 days. I presented the plan to him in 5 days. 2 days later, we met with the deputy chief of operations. I presented the plan to him. He asked me several questions, which I already had answers for. I then reached out to other stakeholders, for example, volunteer corporations, because Frederick County, Maryland is a career accommodation system, as well as the career firefighters union. Reached out to the president of the union, explained what I was trying to do, and got buy-in from everyone involved before I presented it to the field. We started the burns in the first week of June, so it was a week ahead of my deadline. And at this point, I've completed all of A shift, B shift with several exceptions, and about half of C shift. So by the end of August, I'll have everything complete, as well as I opened the training up to one of our mutual aid departments from Fort Detrick. They came out and participated in some evolutions on Monday, and they're scheduled to participate in some on Friday.
So that's awesome stuff, man. And that's what I think we wanted to hit today was talking about how we implemented the programs of in-service training and talking about the buy-in. And since Bob, you were talking about the buy-in, I want to talk about the buy-in a little bit more, and I want to kind of dig deep into that. And then let me throw that at Dusty for a little bit. So Dusty, when you talk about how you just implemented the in-service training between you and your guys in Manassas City, what kind of buy-in did you have to get from the people? Because let's face it, you're a young guy with 5 years on the job. How do you sell it to these senior guys? How do you convince them that what you guys want to do, the training that you want to put on, is going to be beneficial? And how do you beat down the naysayers who want to do nothing with the in-service training? Because let's face it, every department has those types of people that don't want to be a part of that realm of the training. So what do you do, and what were some of the adversities that you guys faced between you and Jess when you implemented the in-service training and getting the buy-in from the guys in Manassas City?
So I can't speak too much for Jess in Charlottesville, but for us here, it was hard just to get certain people to buy in, like you said. You had your people that, they had other stuff going on. They were busy with other things, which is, it's understandable. But training is a big part of our job. We're here for 24 hours. So in that time period, we can do some form, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, even just a 30-minute tabletop discussion, or if we're at the dinner table just talking. At least the new people are listening. They're always listening, and they're paying attention to us. So getting people to buy in was a little difficult at first because we had so much stuff going on. They were wanting to make sure that we were basically going and doing good training, not just something we're throwing together real quick and, we're done in 15 minutes, let's roll on throughout the day. So we made it work. You still have your days when people come in, they may not want to do it right away, but we talk them into it. We do it early before it gets hot. Like, let's go, 9 o'clock. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's go stretch some hose throughout the city somewhere. It's Tuesday. It's hose line day. We're going over here to this place. We're going to stretch hose for 2 hours, talk about different things, and we add on to that each time, like I told you before. So no matter where you go, no matter what your department is, whether it's small like mine or if it's the department's big like Bob, you're going to have those people that don't want to do it. And it's not like every station is going to have at least one. It's just how it is. It's how the fire service is. And I think the big issue with the fire service nowadays when it comes to this in-service training is phone technology. Yeah, we go out and we take pictures of it and we take videos and we post it up, and that's great and all. But a lot of times guys are on their phones just checking other things. Everybody's got Facebook. Everybody's got Twitter or Instagram or whatever. So that's the problem that we run into is like, all right, let's put the phone down for 2 hours. Let's go out and let's do some hardcore training. And I'm guilty of it too. You get emails coming in, you start checking them, you get sidetracked. But we got to just stay on the people every day, day in, day out, and push them to be better. And that's the big thing.
So Dusty, just a little bit about Manassas City. A lot of people may not be familiar with Manassas City. Does Manassas City fire department have a training academy? Do they have, where do you guys from Manassas City do your training within the department?
So in-service training will either be here at the firehouse. We'll go out in the city. Like I said, we'll go to different garden departments. We'll go to the parking garage. We'll go wherever we can throw. We'll go to past places that we've had fires at. We'll throw ladders. We'll go up. We'll talk about roof construction. We'll go up and say, hey, show me how you would cut this. All right, why don't you go ahead and throw me that ladder and take a saw up with you and show me how you're going to cut this roof. You know, we go around to different places. And I tell you, on a side note with the training going out like that, one of the best things I ever saw was a buddy of mine that now that he's worked for the city of Richmond named R.J. De Los Santos. He actually made a saw that out of PVC that had the weight in it of an actual saw. He put a piece of chalk on it. They would go to the grocery store daytime and they would take the new guy up. All right, show me how you cut this roof. Chalk's going to wash off. It's not going to stay there. But it just had that guy get out there and practice different things throughout the day. And then he knew, hey, if I go to the fire here, this is how I'm going to do it. This is some different ways to think about. So, you know, we're a small department, have no training center. The jurisdiction around us, Prince William County, they have one, but they've got training stuff going on all the time. So it's hard for us to get it every now and then. So we're still pushing. We're trying to push Connex boxes here, get us a place to put them. Just location is a huge problem.
So, Dusty, when we're done with this Humpday Hangouts, what I want you to do is I want you to send me, and I'll make sure that Fire Engineering gets it up on their website and their links. But I want you to send me the information on the chalk saw so that other people can get a glimpse of what that looks like and how they could do that. I think that's a fantastic idea of being able to practice basic roof operations and truck work with something as simple as a makeshift saw with chalk on it that you can actually outline how you would cut. And it's simple enough. Like you said, when it rains, you can wash the chalk outline out. So make sure you give me that, Dusty, so I can make sure that that we get that up on the as a link for Fire Engineering.
Absolutely, we'll get it to you.
But tell me this. Have you guys seen and experienced with your in-service training trends? So like, do you track the days that you do in service? Do you track the drills that you're doing? Do you track who's participating? Do you find that you have an overlap of the same kind of drills? So we've hit engine drills really, really hard for, you know, this particular time. Let's focus on truck drills or vice versa. Are you collecting data within your shift, within your department for how you are doing it in service training?
So we just keep track of it on Target Solutions. We go in, we fill out a roster, you sign it off, we put it up, and it gets uploaded to Target Solutions. You know, there's a lot of times we do just little spur of the moment training that nothing gets put in. You know, we'll go over some knots. We'll talk about, hey, that building across the street, how you gonna ladder it? All right, let's go over and do it. And not always gets put in Target Solutions. And I'm sure Bob may have the same issue too. A lot of guys just don't like computers, so they don't put their stuff in there. We'll go do stuff all day, but it may not get uploaded.
So what do you guys, so explain what Target Solutions is and explain how, what you're talking about when you say you upload stuff into Target Solutions. Remember, some of our listeners may not know or be familiar with exactly that. Is.
So it's just kind of like an online database. We keep track of training, hydrants. We can keep track of all our information here in the city. We can put up our SOPs so that if you want to look back and see what's going on, you can look up. And it sends out reminders in your email. Hey, you're past due on this. You're past due on this. You need to get it done. And that way, you know, guys are going on looking at the stuff. So for last month, we did the cancer prevention stuff, and we actually talked about 2 of our members that have passed away. 3 of our members that have passed away from cancer, and we put up, and you have to click on it and read it for it to say you've done it. So it's not just like, hey, I clicked on it and I'm done. Guys got to actually go through and read it. So that's the big thing that we're pushing with that, and it's online tracking of what's going on.
Awesome. So I'm going to turn it over to Bob here. I would like Bob to talk a little bit about our tracking process that we've done in Frederick County with our in-service training program that we've just implemented. And shortly after Bob's done talking about the tracking, I want to talk a little bit about the in-service training that we've done within Frederick County underneath the training academies in service, which we call the multiple unit training. So, Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you for a little bit, and I want you to talk about the tracking that you've done, the data that you've collected, and what you were able to see with our in-service that you've implemented with our training academy staff in Frederick County.
Sure thing. So before I get started on that, I do want to say to Dusty that you bring up a great point about the training facility. It doesn't matter if you're in Manassas or Frederick County. Those training facilities are under high demand. You know, then you got to deconflict schedules. You have to deconflict assets, use and utilization. So to your point, I'm trying to push the same concept that you're exploring of portable training solutions that we can move off of the academy. That, you know, if the academy's busy, I can put it in a parking lot somewhere and we can train out there, you know. So we're exploring the same thing too. It's nice to see that great minds think alike. So RJ was talking about some of the training data that I'm collecting. And when I started to pitch this to the training staff here and the deputy chief operations, the idea that I wanted to explore is I have previous background with recruit physical fitness training. And before we even start recruit physical fitness training, they do an intake assessment where they do a physical fitness test to see how many push-ups can Ricky recruit do. And what we're able to do then is look at how our training system is being effective throughout recruit training. You know, we put them through 28 weeks of physical fitness training. At the end, when they do their final physical fitness test, I can see an upward trend. I can see whether or not my training program has been successful. So I wanted to take the same idea and apply it towards the organization. Treat our initial live fire exercises as a needs assessment so that I can further justify additional training. So to identify who needs my help with training and what specific needs we have. So here are some examples. We've done over 50 evolutions right now. Of the 50 evolutions that we've done, only 14 times has a company officer brought a thermal imager camera, and only 4 times have they attempted to use it. Of the 4 times they attempted to use it, we had 1 critical failure of the device. So what that tells us is maybe 1 out of 5 is bringing it, right? And the 1 out of 5 that are bringing it, only 1's using it. Now, if it's a low stress environment, something like that, they'll use it, overhaul, looking for a light ballast, whatever. But in a high stress environment, they don't do it. And looking at the root cause associated with it, as a firefighter, we don't frequently use thermal imager cameras. That's usually resigned to the officer. Well, if as a firefighter, if in recruit training, they didn't learn how to use a thermal imager camera, and as a firefighter, they never learned how to use a thermal imager camera, then I get promoted to lieutenant and I'm expected to take the tick with me and use it. It's not happening. So
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
I can take that data and I can look across multiple units, companies, shifts to see if there are any globalized trends. So for example, one company came out here and one of the things that I did in live fire exercise, I treated it like a scenario. If you recall, like the unit's positioned in front of my firehouse, you know, they stage all their PPE. I do the 1403 walkthrough, but I dispatch them from the kitchen. They've got to get dressed, mount the apparatus, respond to the emergency, and they have to react to the scenario I present them. One of the things that happens is there's a forced entry prop in front of the burn building. They must force entry before they make entry to the burn building. And what we saw initially was company officers, firefighters coming to the front door. Nobody's bringing tools. Now, I can look at them and I can blame them, or I can spin it around and say, how realistic is my training if every time they go in the burn building, they don't have to force the door before they go inside? You know, you go in a house fire and you get to the front door of the house, the door's locked, right? So our simulator fidelity is very important. So I put this forcible entry prop. Then I see people struggle with forcible entry technique. Then I can justify, hey, we need to get portable forcible entry solutions that we can move around to do field training. The only forcible entry props we had until recently were fixed assets here at the training academy. And as I expressed, unless you're at 333, one of the Frederick City companies that can get over here pretty easily to use it, They don't have access to this. So one of the companies had a forcible entry prop that was there. One of their members' father actually builds them for the fire store. And so company 16 had a forcible entry prop at their firehouse for over a year. And what I was able to demonstrate with my data is that the members from company 16 that encountered a forcible entry prop had no issue whatsoever. I have video of one of those companies that when they reached that door, they were able to force entry in 8 seconds. The company that immediately followed them to training did not have a forcible entry prop. It took them 8 minutes and 34 seconds to get through the front.
So, Bob, what I want you to do real quick, I mean, obviously I know about it because I work there, but talk about the video thing and talk about how, and me and we've had a pretty good discussion about the whole video plan. And I like the video plan, and I want you to share that with everybody who is following us on Fire Engineering and the Humpday Hangouts. What you do with the video, why you take video, what you do with the video, and your plan with the video after a company comes and does a training. I think this is awesome stuff, and I want to make sure it gets shared with everybody else. So talk a little bit about the whole video thing, please.
Okay. So something that Dusty brought up earlier was about the length of training, some of the challenges you might encounter associated with training this time of year when it's really warm outside. So I expressed to the operations branch here that my concern was we have personnel that are coming to this essentially field training. They're doing it while they're on duty. They have a 24-hour shift. I can't bring them here and run them through 8 hours of live fire exercises. So it's got to be short, but it has to have value. As well as we have to, as an organization, be able to continue to maintain operational readiness. So I can't bring 5 engines, 2 ladder trucks, a rescue squad. We just don't have that kind of operational depth in Frederick County. So my scenario is small. It's essentially about 5 to 6. For us, that's 1 engine or a ladder truck or a rescue squad and an ambulance. So essentially the first 2 units that are presented with the scenario. The intent behind it was that all of the members would participate in the evolution based on their riding assignment. You would do the job that you're designed to do. For example, if you're a technician, you don't need to be the nozzle man on the fire. You need to be driving the engine, driving the ladder truck, driving the rescue squad, the work that you are assigned to do. And one of the things that I really explored this concept that, battle or warfare is primarily an individual effort. You could be inside on the rescue squad. You could be part of the inside team. And you have no idea what the engine driver is doing, or, the outside vent man. He has a totally different experience. You were all at the same event. You even came of apparatus, but each person's experience is primarily individual. So I explored this from the idea of like a coach, like a sports coach, right? After a major game or major victory, even a major loss, they go back and look at game tape. So I'm trying to generate game tape. If your company comes out and does training, I'm shooting video, if possible, multiple videos from different angles, so that after the game, you can come back and watch, and you can look at what went well and try to identify what didn't go well. Plus, for me, it gives a timestamp, because we all know when you get under stress, it might feel like things are going in slow motion or things are going really fast. You have a specific, explicit, referenceable time period that you can see. Oh, it felt like forever to get that door open. Well, it actually turns out you got it open in 15 seconds. That was pretty efficient. Plus, for me, then, I can go back through, measure all the benchmarks that I'm looking for, and develop averages. That way, me, from a training perspective, a year from now, what I can determine is, last year, the Frederick County average to force entry on this door was about 90 seconds. This year, it was 45 seconds. I can determine, like, hey, my treatment plan for this is effective because I'm seeing a positive trend in my scores, in my benchmarks. Does that make sense? When I take that video, then I actually share it with the battalion chief, the company officer, and all the members that participated in it, from the aspect of the battalion chief. They can debrief the company officers. They can reconcile the decision making. They can talk about the communications that were made. And it gives the battalion chief an opportunity to see what decisions their company officer would make prior to their arrival. Give them an opportunity to practice transition and let everybody see from the video footage I collect, basically what all activities and actions happened in what order. We're not relying on our memories then. We can look at this, objective third-party video that I made.
Dusty, do you guys do anything, or do you have any plans to do anything, or what's your thoughts on the program that you guys do? So after your in-service training, what do you guys do to critique your work? What do you guys do to talk, or do you guys talk amongst yourselves? Do you have a program? Do you have a senior officer? What do you guys do after you do the training to hash out your thoughts on how you guys performed?
So it seems like most guys kind of talk amongst themselves. Like our company officer would come up, we would talk a little bit, but nothing like in depth. I like how Bob's doing the video. I think that's great because then even here, for being a small department, we can keep track and basically hold people accountable. Like, hey, you're not doing the job in a timely manner. And, well, how do you know that? Well, I've got it on film, and it says right here that it took you 90 seconds to force that door when it should be way quicker than that. So a lot of us talk amongst ourselves. That's the big thing that we really need to push is actually holding people accountable and critiquing afterwards. And I think that's slowly being implemented. And I think it'll get better as time goes on with this. This whole daily schedule is new. So we're still working out the kinks. We're still trying to get the time throughout the day, make sure everything works well. So that's the big issue is critiquing accountability.
How have you guys found, and I'm going to ask you this, and then I'm going to throw it back at Bob. How have you guys found your unit cohesion with this training? Have you found that you guys have a better working relationship? Have you guys found that it's harder to have a working relationship? How do you guys feel like you guys know each other's movements pretty well? Like, how do you think you guys now perform since you've been doing the in-service training within the Manassas City Fire Department? How would you talk about, or how would you discuss your unit cohesion as a group between not only your shift but your firehouse and then the other firehouses that you work with?
So I think the unit cohesion's actually gotten better. So we used to do training. The rescue engine would do their own training, the engine and the truck would do their own training here. And then we would get the calls and we wouldn't be kind of on the same page. We'd be near each other, but we wouldn't be on the same page. Yeah. So we definitely doing these together has now brought people seeing how people operate better, especially with all this, you get shift mixed up, you get trades, you get people out, got guys working overtime. So we're learning how everyone operates a little bit better. And that's helping each other out. And it's actually helped out on several fires here lately because we know how guys are going to operate. Like I know, hey, so-and-so right here, he's bossing the engine today. I know how he's going to operate. He's going to do this if you go to a first buy. So it's definitely helped us out a little bit. We still have some more kinks we need to work out. And I'm hoping the other two shifts will take on this at some point if they see how this works well. We just need to finish working out the kinks and get it better. But there's some solid guys on the other two shifts that I think will work well. And even if they come up with something a little bit different, I think they're gonna start making this department in general better, which is gonna be awesome.
And Bob, with what you've seen as far as the different companies that come through the academy, how would you say you would say the unit cohesion is amongst the shifts? Can you tell, but based off of the amount of people that you see come through, can you tell these guys do a lot of training together versus these guys who don't do a lot of training together versus, you've seen different companies, even my company, when we came through, we had different people working with us for the day that weren't normally assigned there. What would you say you would see as a trend of the in-service training with the companies you can tell who trains together, who doesn't train together, or people of the hodgepodge crews put together? What's your thoughts on that?
So I think that's a great question. So given our staffing levels and our deployment model, it's not consistent. We have some firehouses that have 9 personnel in them. And we have some firehouses that might only have 2 personnel working there. So if you picture, if there's only 2 personnel working there and it's your day off, 50% of your team, 50% of your operational knowledge about your first due area, the apparatus, equipment, all that stuff potentially is gone. So we had some companies that said like, hey, half of our shift is off today. Should we still come to the training? And my answer to them is, when you come to my training, you're going to a fire. Don't you want to find out, like, who's going to be strong, who's going to be weak, who's good at what? Like, if you can come here and practice, or you can go out there and run it at 2 a.m. with no notice. It could be the worst fire that you ever encountered.
Real quick. Shout out to Frederick County Training Academy, who is the only station in Frederick County that runs the most jobs in this county. Yeah. And Bob gets to work at the only station in the county that goes to the most fires. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, five working fires a day, the same 2 buildings every time. It's very heartening to see some of the response. So we find some interesting things. For example, you can tell the teams that have an evolution, they have a plan. Like one of the ideas I pitched out to them is, this is a scenario. My job right now is to find out who needs my help. There's only one person in the field training office, and that's me. The rest of my assets are operational personnel, guys like yourself. You're assigned to operations. You're assigned to the firehouse. I can use you when you're off duty, or I can detail you, but I'm making a whole, and I'm making our staffing situations different. So to that point, what I'm trying to find out is, if somebody's good to go, they don't need my help. If somebody struggles, they need my help. I can get my assets. I can focus my brain on not making the strong people stronger, on making the weak people stronger. Because if I improve their score 10 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever, I'm going to improve the entire department's average. I'm going to make them more confident. I'm going to make them feel more ready. Not to pump your tires, but you don't need me to teach you forcible entry. But there are people out there that need help with forcible entry. I don't need to come to your firehouse and teach your guys forcible entry. You've pretty much got that handled, right? So to that point, we've had some evolutions where there's one that I'm extraordinarily proud of. We had 2 ambulances and a medic unit. The scenario in Frederick County here is, there are sometimes when an engine arrives on scene, driver only. All of our personnel are cross-trained. So you get dressed in your PPE from the ambulance and you staff the engine. So of the 5 participants in the evolution, the most senior guy had 3 years on the job, right? These are all people that have recently come through our recruit training program. Those young kids, they crushed it. They absolutely crushed the scenario. You're talking 5 kids that don't usually work together. The most senior one is a firefighter by our rank, and they did an incredible job. The interesting thing is, they don't make any transmissions on the radio. They don't talk on the radio because they're not officers, right? They're firefighters.
That's an old school way of conducting business.
they talk very well to each other. They speak to each other very well, and you can see it on the footage when you watch the game tape from the evolution. You can see the crews talking to each other, but the battalion chief is calling them on the radio, and they give like a 1-word answer and keep on working. So those things are very heartening. Some of the senior guys are fantastic. Some of the junior guys are fantastic. And like I said, the evolution, the scenario that I build out, you can't take the traditional position at our burn building, which is right in front of it, pull a cross lane. You have to deploy a long attack line. I don't care if it's a 300, 400, 500 footer. I don't care if it's a leader line. I don't care what you do. But I want to see, do you have a plan? And does your plan work? Our engine staffing at Frederick is 3 people. Do you have a plan to make a long attack line with 3 people? Because by the time, for some of our locations, by the time you get more people, you might be 10 minutes into an incident. Somebody had mentioned, like, well, don't you worry about the secrecy? This company comes out to train and then they go and tell everybody what the evolution. And I said, from my perspective, if you think you know what my evolution is and you start practicing, I win, because you're training yourselves. Like, you're rehearsing, you're practicing, you're good to go. It's like the secret, like, hey, the secret to win this is to do a cartwheel. Well, if you don't know how to do a cartwheel, you're not going to win. If you practice doing cartwheels and you come out on game day here and have a good cartwheel, great. That's awesome. That's what we're looking for. I want our people to be ready. You know, we have so many scenarios in all of our first two areas where the traditional cross lay will not work. And then I look back to our recruit training. Where do we always park the engine? Right up front. What do we always pull? A cross lay. They don't think about it. They just do that. You know, then you challenge them with, like, when you pull a cross lay, it doesn't work. What do you do?
So I want to talk a little bit about, and Bob, thank you for sharing that, man. I think that was really, really well put about how we put together that in Frederick County. And what I want to talk about today, before we wrap this up today, is the lower level training. So a little bit below more of the formal training that our fire academy sets for us, a little bit higher above the training that Manassas City would do within the stations. But I want to talk about something that we put together in Frederick County on the middle playing field, is what we put together, what we called multiple unit training. And what we did was we found a need to have training where multiple companies are working together. A lot of times we found on fires and different incidents that the companies didn't have good working relationships. And not because anybody thought they were any better than anybody else. It's just nobody knew what the movements were going to be of the other people. And we struggled with that amongst the shifts themselves for a long time. I would like to say too long, until we realized, all right, listen, when we have these multiple alarm fires, these companies are forced to have to learn how to work with each other. It's no other way to do it, or else we're not going to be successful. And I want to talk a little bit about how we came to make that happen. So what we did was we established a need for it. And we sat down with our battalion chief and said, Chief, look, we would like to get everybody together and establish some kind of way we can do training where we can get multiple units together. And God bless it that our chief is really, really down for letting us come up with the ideas, but he wants to be a part of it and he wants to see what's happening. I thought that when we established this training, we were going to get a lot of pushback from the other people. We established that we wanted to do it on the Sundays because Sundays are quieter call volume days, and we wanted to do it first thing in the morning. If you guys have never ever been to Frederick County Fire Rescue, I can tell you if you walk in any firehouse on a Sunday between the hours of 9 and 11, everybody's doing brunch. That's a very traditional thing that happens in Frederick County everywhere you go. Actually, I think that's just the traditional thing that happens in the fire service in this country. Everybody's doing brunch. But what we did was we said, you know what? Sundays our call volume is very, very low. We wanted to take advantage of it. So what we did was we decided to do our multiple unit training on Sundays. And what we decided to do was we wanted to do it first thing in the morning so that we can still make sure our guys got back in time to do brunch and still be able to put on our traditional brunches. But what we wanted to do was we wanted to figure out how we wanted to do this training, right? Did we want this training to be where we're spending a lot of times doing hands-on, where we're coaching our people through, or do we want to just give our people the scenarios and just let them go at it and we hash it out later? And that's what we decided to do. We come up with the scenarios. There's no coaching. It's straight. Here's your scenario. Execute however you want to execute the task and make it happen. If it's something that's critical or something that we deem might be unsafe, we stop it and we can correct it then. But we wanted to allow our people the opportunity to think outside the box. What that did was that allowed our younger guys, the rookies, to be able to apply the skills that we've taught during the daily trainings to be able to apply under pressure. That allowed our chief to be able to watch the people work, to watch the actual performance, to see how they would handle these particular things. One of the biggest things that we learned from it is like when we do the training and in the parking deck. So we go to the parking deck and we train on standpipe evolutions. it works well for our chief to be able to see, all right, I know these guys from this particular company, it's going to take them this long to get up these particular stairs, or it's going to take them this long to hike this many floors to, be able to hook up to the standpipe and then be able to put water on the fire. So it builds a good relationship amongst the guys on the floor as well as the chief who's running that actual incidents, because he can see and know what his crews are very, very well proficient in versus some of the areas that they lack and may need a little bit more work. We've noticed that our rookies and our junior guys have been able to build the trust with the senior guys, because the senior guys are not only participating in the drill, but after they participate, they take a step back and watch the junior and the younger guys perform to see how they're doing, and then we coach at the end. So we've found that now the relationship has become a lot more cohesive, if you would, versus more competitive. It was always, we got to beat these guys in, we got to stretch our line faster and farther. Now it's more so, hey, if we're all working together to achieve the common goal, I know what these guys are doing. I can help them here where I know they're going to struggle, and everybody kind of gets, it's more so everybody kind of gets the mission accomplished faster with everybody working together versus everybody trying to compete against each other. I really think that when we look at the wide range, and this is exactly what I wanted to do. So shout out to Frank Ritchie and Bobby Holland for letting me have the entire program today, because I wanted to bring my friends on from two different areas so that they can see, so people can see how we conduct business in the United States of America. When we have training that needs to get done, how we implement the training, and how we do it on many different levels between different departments and different size departments at that. But I wanted to literally just touch on those things. And before we wrap up for today, I want to let Bob and Dusty leave our fire engineering listeners with a few thoughts, some things that they want to lay out for you guys before we wrap up. So we'll start with Dusty. Dusty.
Thank you, RJ. So basically, just get everyone out there and take the training. There's lots of training, not only, at your department, but out there. You've got several conferences. You've got FDIC. You've got Firehouse Expo. You've got Making the Stretch Conference up in Pennsylvania, which is just booming right now, which is awesome. And here in the great state of Virginia, and right just north of Maryland too, you can always hit the ones up here, and you hit the different truck schools that we have around here. So Virginia's very lucky. We have a lot of different truck schools. You've got the Bedford County Truck School. You've got the City of Richmond Truck School, the Walker Sis, which is out in Charlottesville. And then you had the one that myself and RJ and Jess Rodzinka put on the other year. So little things like that. And we had a lot of guys from Frederick County, Maryland come down for that. And that was awesome to see guys traveling their own time, taking the chance to come down there and take the class. That's awesome.
Hey, real quick, I do want to adjust that. Those guys, prior to Bob actually going to the training academy, back when he was assigned, prior to even him going back to Engine 2, Bob was up at Engine 8, and those guys from Engine 8 came down there for that training. So, yeah, shout out to those guys that worked under Bob that came down to the training in Virginia on their own time, their own dime, not only to get better training, but to also support the cause. Because if you remember, we raised money for the Muscular Dystrophy Association for the Virginia chapter. So those guys not only came down to get training, but to support the cause. But yes, Dusty, that was a very good point.
So, and the big thing is the exact thing that we've talked about today, your daily training. Stay up on it. Do something every day, whether it's tabletop, it's hands-on, it's just talking on the back bumper. The kitchen table is where we solve all the world's problems. We talk about different things. Right there, you can do plenty of training. Make guys put streets up on the board. So, we got to pound it into our people. We got to hit them. So get the new people, get the senior guys, get the lieutenants, the captains, get them out there, get them involved. Let the battalion chiefs, they've been there for a while, obviously, so have them come in and talk about some different places in the area. They know what's going on because they've seen the place grow up, especially here in Manassas. We just booming. So get out, do your daily training. learn something new, take outside classes and bring that back to your department. And that's the big thing that, you can't always just stay in your bubble. You gotta expand out, get yourself out of your comfort zone and bring it back to your department. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, a lot of great points there, Dusty, sharing them. I think the thing that I'm really trying to push for the people here is the why. When you look at the training, when you look at whatever it is, operationally, post debrief, hot wash, practice, whatever. I tell a lot of people before I do one of these and blame somebody else, I spin it around and say, what has training done? I want to make changes to as much as possible to try to improve the overall quality. So, for example, when the statistics that I provided about our thermal, there's a tendency to move towards technology when, to Dusty's point, it's not about the brand new Halligan bar. It's about knowing how to use the tools. And that's in here. That's what I can work on. Now, you get me the newest, greatest, best, I'll be able to use it even better and more effectively. But if I didn't know how to use what I had, a brand new one is not going to improve my technical capability. I've been sharing some information that we found out about our portable radios as a result of this training, and I think it's very, very valuable. So explore the why. You carry your gloves. Where do you carry them? Why do you carry them there? Does that work for you? Do you carry door chalks? How many do you carry? Where do you carry them? Why? We have guys, as a result of training, they've started moving or adjusting or improving what they do and why they do it, because what they thought worked doesn't work. And they found that out as a result of the training. The little catchphrase I'm trying to get on is, let no one's ghosts get the train let you down. Put in the work on the front end. Just like Dusty said, make yourself better, because that can prevent you from being a ghost. That can prevent your partner from being a ghost, members of your company, members of your department, or members of the public that we're sworn to protect. Put the work in. It's worth it.
I want to thank both of you guys for coming on. I really appreciate not only your words and your thoughts and the things that you guys have shared personally within your departments, but not only that, just being my cool friends. Before we wrap up, I would like to also, as I always do, thank Fire Engineering for having me, allowing me to be a co-host of the Humpday Hangouts. It is an honor for me to be here and to be able to do this. And my parting words I would like to say for everybody is, if you don't have a training program, think of it. Think of the need for it. Think of how you want to implement it. Think about how you're going to get the buy-in. We talked a little bit about getting the buy-in from the members, the senior members, the junior members. We talked about how we implement the buy-in. Track the progress of your work. Track the progress of your training. See how people are performing, if it's helping, if it's hurting. Make sure you have the statistics so you can be able to show your data to show people how your training program is working. And no matter what, always keep training. That is the most important thing. I brought to the show today people who I personally know who are tied to training, both professionally and passionately. I couldn't think of any two better people from two different areas who actually don't even know each other. Bob doesn't know Dusty, and Dusty doesn't know Bob. But I literally brought two of my friends on who I know are passionate about training. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming on and joining us on the Humpday Hangouts. And before I leave, I do want to say, Bob, you need to get some more pictures up in your office, and Dusty, you need to get a haircut. That's my I love all you guys both. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you guys next month. Stay safe out there, guys.
See you. Thank you.
Take care, brothers.